Hello, everyone. Happy today's Wednesday, but happy most importantly week 5 of our Diamond Heart Project and our beautiful gathering and support for each other through this beautiful evolution of connecting to our heart and beyond that, really activating that intelligence that comes through that heart space. I believe you've all heard me talk about it before, but the heart is the first organ that's created in the womb. And it's really through the first phase at our physical level that our soul comes into form. And so this project is all about connecting that. And so the first part of the project is really about, designing our self-care practice, the way we honor ourselves, and more importantly, the way we develop that really deep connection to our energetic, mental, emotional, and physical self, allowing all of that to come into balance so we can be truly in alignment with what you might call your highest self, might call your purest form of your being, that heart intelligence, higher guidance, whatever word you want to have for it. Now, the second half of this program, we're now moving into more deep inner work and more understanding of that deeper connection that we've now created in the first part, into more of a deeper connection of how to navigate certain parts of our being. And so today, this topic or this week is about the magic of manifestation. And, that word has been thrown around a lot over the past couple of decades of this evolutionary process on the planet, different spiritual communities or different talks or different presentations. Like, manifestation is a really beautiful thing. But it's more about coming into light, like bringing something from the etheric realm or the energetic realm into form and manifesting it. And there are people out there, like there's things like different technologies and different theories around manifestation, and different understandings about it. But the point is, I want to give you some of the basics around and how it relates to this course and to our process. Manifestation is a really beautiful thing. Just know there are things also in your field that are already there. So there's some already experiences in your field that are already on your timeline of your evolutionary process as far as a soul needing to experience for its own evolution. So those things manifest in our lives when everything's in alignment and when it's time for those things to come through. And more importantly, to recognize that everything you have is already within you. And you hear that comment thrown out a lot, but I'm talking about like those things, those experiences are in your field. And I'm sure many of you have had moments in your life, wow, if you turn around and look back at your timeline or your history, and like, wow, if A didn't happen, B wouldn't have happened, then C wouldn't have happened. And you see how these connections happen, whether those moments could have been years apart or back to back. And so those kind of experiences are already, those kind of things are already in your field. If you've had dreams around writing a book or creating an idea or a business or marketing idea or something you offer the world, or feeling called to do some kind of service in the world, like you're feeling that call because that actually experience is already in your field. And now by you doing the inner work, the manifestation work, the visioning work, the intentions you put behind your practices, like those are the strings or the access points of how that begins to come into form. I believe some of you heard the story around this Diamond Heart Project. Like, I felt something wanting to come through that was a shift, an evolutionary process from offering ceremonies and conscious teachings. And when I really sat with it and did a visioning technique of these multiple meditations on how to like really be able to allow that vision to flow through me of what was looking to come through, what was birthed through that process was this Diamond Heart Project. And so realizing that when it came through, I got a lot of clarity and guidance from, you might call your higher self, higher guidance, ancestral realm, archangels that we just did in Kundalini today, the Kriya, around like how this is part of my soul's agreement. This is part of like a purpose part of my soul around teaching people how to connect to the inner wisdom within their heart. It's a very important thing. Many great teachers have offered this. And it's been a foundational teachings in so many things. And when you come back to it, when you recognize lots of things out there, everyone talks about connecting to your heart. beyond the compassion and the kindness and all that. That's beautiful, but there's another layer of intelligence to connect to, and awareness to connect to in this space, and that's what this program is about. So the manifestation topic today isn't about like calling in that boat or that, that job you want. It can be, for sure. But it's on a deeper level. It's about really understanding, like opening yourself up instead of going after something you might want, like tuning into something that's already part of your field and giving it space for it to manifest. Like allowing yourself to be a channel for that to come through. Maybe a book idea, maybe a conscious teachings, maybe an act of kindness, whatever it is. And through your practices, the most important part of all that is you get to come into full alignment with the moment. And again, this is also thrown out there, but just know the moment. I want to give this teaching an analogy for a moment, but if you recognize the moment is if you look at it like a bubble that's birthed, and in this bubble has everything that it needs in it to complete its intention or purpose of what the bubble is for or what that moment is about. And know that every moment is birthed to help the evolution of consciousness or for spirit or God or source to amplify itself into a more pure version of who it is before the moment was birthed. So it's that every moment is helping source or consciousness or spirit to evolve into a more pure version of itself than it was the moment prior, no matter what those moments look like. So that moment, that bubble that's birthed, the analogy of the moment, is birthed with everything that it needs in it to complete itself and to complete the intention of what that moment's about. The only X factor is you. And how do you show up in that moment? And how you're tuned into your heart space, your intuition, your guidance will guide you into what that moment needs to complete itself so it can evolve itself into birthing or bursting that bubble into creation as it expands furthermore into a more pure version of who and what it is. And so whether you're called in that moment to hold space, whether you're called in that moment to take an action, whether you're in that moment to speak a truth, no matter what it is, those moments are birthed, and as we get more tuned into our inner guidance, you'll be guided of how to show up in that moment to complete it. Because it's not just for you, it's for the evolution of all creation. It's for the impact on the quantum field. It's for the expansion of consciousness. It's for the purification or frequency elevation of our entire quantum field that we're in by how you show up in the moment. That's how deep the relationship goes to you connecting to your heart space. Give you a story. I'm sure some of you have heard this before, but there was a time that I was in a grocery store and I was in line to check out, and all of a sudden my guides came to me and said, "Tell the woman in front of you that her mom loves her blue dress." Okay. I don't think about what is she going to think of me? What's her opinion? Is there judgment? I just do what I'm guided to do. And there's a workshop I teach called You're Being Used, You Tool. And it's a workshop about teaching people how we're always being used in a beautiful way by consciousness or source or our higher self to show up in a more pure version of our own being so it can evolve itself. We're a tool in a beautiful way by our gifts and our talents to put us in certain places or relationships or experiences to allow us to express our nature or our true self to evolve consciousness. That's the whole relationship with the unconditional love of God. It's the unconditional love that happens. The fact that we are given everything that we need so we can be a full expression of our being. So as we express our nature and truth and take action or offer our truth or hold space in every moment, that helps consciousness evolve itself. That is the unconditional love relationship that's constantly giving and receiving and how this works. Okay. So I'm in the grocery store and I asked the woman in front of me as she checks out, I said, "Ma'am, can I speak to you for a moment?" She said, "Yes." I said, "I had something to share with you." And I said, "I have a message for you. And your message is your mom loves your blue dress." I knew nothing of how she was going to receive that or what that meant to her. But in the moment, she dropped to the ground in tears. What I didn't know is the day before, she's actually at her mom's funeral and she wore a blue dress. And so that comment, that sharing with her, like helped whatever needed to help heal, whether it be the information between her and her mother, the relationship, her relationship to the quantum field, her relationship to belief systems around these higher dimensions. I don't know. It's not for me to know. That's for me to be the tool and to deliver what I'm being guided to offer her in the moment. And so that comes back to that same understanding. Like, we are guided to express ourselves into the moment. We are the X factor in that moment. Again, that moment has everything that it needs to complete itself. We are the X factor. And when we tune into our heart space, our intuitive guidance, we're guided to show up in that moment a certain unique way to help that moment complete itself. Because when that moment completes itself, it immediately adds to the evolution of creation. Immediately adds to the elevation of the frequency, immediately adds to the more pure version of itself. And that's how we use this beautiful tool. And then in that moment, a next moment is birth. So it's a constant flow of these constant bubbles or moments that are birthed in our life. And we get to navigate it through by tuning into our heart and how we show up in those moments. You're not here to figure anything out. And so when you go into logical mind, which is a beautiful, beautiful tool, and there's places and times and experiences that we can access this incredible, complex organ that no one has figured out in the entire cosmos or universe. They say it's the most complex organ in the entire cosmos. And it's used for beautiful things. But the more you try to trying to figure things out, you're going to miss these incredible opportunities and moments that pass you by. The mind only knows what it's already experienced. The heart knows what's guided in the next experience for you and how to show up. Why you're being called to stop off at the gas station and you don't even need gas. And all of a sudden you meet your lover, or you meet a brand new friend, or you see somebody you haven't seen for 10 years. Like, the heart knows that. And so we tune into this space. That's the power of the moment. And I was going to do a whole different teaching on that, but I'm wrapping it into manifestation. And so this wraps up to manifestation around being truly connected into that space, because beyond like what you want to bring into life or manifest into your life or experience, which is all beautiful, there's a next evolution of that. And the next evolution of that is being so tuned into the moment that you are fully connected to the intelligence and the creative source of creation, the godlike energy, that frequency, that higher dimensional rate. And you could be tuned into what is wanting to be birthed through me in this moment, compared to what do I want to call in, or what do I want to experience, what wants to be birthed. And by having a deeper practice with yourself and a very foundational practice with yourself anchored in who you are through your practices, you can get clarity on that information. And then you'll begin to see there's a relationship between what you maybe energetically or physically or personally want to experience in life and what is actually being called to be birthed through you. There's a fine line between those two, and they run parallel. And sometimes there's a little confusion or a little distortion around like what we may want. Not that we don't know what we want, but maybe the fact is what's looking to come through is so much greater than actually what your personal desire is, but it's a piece of it. So as you tune more into the moment of your life, not just how you show up in the world around outside of yourself, but as far as the moments within your being in every given second of your life, like, you can really tune into that information and recognize, yes, that there's a parallel between maybe why you're wanting something and what the intention of it is, and like why is that part of your field of influence. Is there something greater happening here that wants to be birthed through you, but it's leading you like a fishing line or like a fishing lure with your desire to something even greater, to understanding of why that is being called or why you're feeling called to that. So anyways, and so the next part of that is about intentions. Setting daily intentions. I don't know if you want to journal them, write them down, and say them to yourself. Say affirmations as you stand on top of the mountain and do a prayer every morning, like whatever you choose to do. Like, there's something powerful about having daily intentions or affirmations, or both. They're two different things. But daily intentions, like, what do you want, and what do you want to experience in life for today? Maybe what do you want to experience in life for the entire existence of between now and your last breath? But the point is, like, having a relationship between your daily intentions and your manifestation. And here's the key to manifestation, is really being able to call in a vision And I don't mean just like having a vision board. That's beautiful. That's great. Anything that can remind you of the feeling of those things. But it's really about calling in the vision of like, the process is like in a place of manifesting something, like an experience you want to have. Like you really bring up that thought or that vision of that. And then you begin to move that thought into a feeling. Like, what does that feel like? What does it feel like to have the job you've always wanted? What does it feel like to be in the relationship you've always wanted? What is the feeling of like, maybe you just want to go have a day of meditation in the woods and just want to be by yourself? Like, cool. What does that feel like? Maybe you look at your schedule and it's not available for that, but what does that feel like to you? And so as you begin to like shift that thought of that idea or that calling and you move it into a feeling, you're now bringing it into the cosmos, or you're bringing it into your energetic field, that it's already there. And you might recognize that as you bring that emotion into a feeling, into your system, or that thought process into a feeling, that actually experience is already in your field. It's just now time to call it forth. And the more you get comfortable with that feeling, or feeling what it actually is, it's my son's watch, feeling what it actually is, that's showing, the cosmos or the universe or the quantum field that it's already yours, like it's already part of your experience. And so you'll see like life shift into manifesting that into the physical realm because it's already in your field of influence. It's a beautiful thing, and I've seen this happen many times in my life. Hopefully you've had that experience as well. But it's about the feeling of it. What does it feel like? Like when I drop into like months or weeks before a retreat, like I'll drop into, what does it feel like to be there? Who's there with me? It doesn't have to be a face, but I could feel these different energies. And then all of a sudden I'll get a call 3 days later. Somebody's like, I'm really feeling called to come to your retreat. And I'll recognize on the call that was one of the people's energies I felt in the retreat. And I'll let them know, like, I feel your energy already there, and let them know, like, I feel them there. If they're on the fence about being there, and they'll be asking me some questions. But the point is, like, I feel into that experience. And so when you have these pivotal moments of your life, it's important to go in and feel it. Like, what does it feel like? Like, what does that feeling feel like? Is this part of my path? Or like, this is an experience I want to have. What does that experience feel like? And so in your mind, you can begin to create the image or the experience of what it might look like, or what the experience might look like, or you might see the colors of the trees, or feel the wind in your face, or the breeze off the ocean, like whatever it is that your thought you're having, and then you bring those into a feeling and emotion, and you'll watch as like the levers begin to shift to bring that experience into your life. It's really beautiful. And as I had a tip on one of the steps on the email this week was about doing some third eye visioning. Like when you drop into your practices, whether your yoga practice, Kundalini practice, breath work, meditation, running, like you can run with your eyes closed for a moment. Walking, like you can just close your eyes for a moment and peer at that third eye point. And the more you begin to develop a connection with that, this is how the information comes through. It comes through the heart. The information comes through the heart space. This is where the information comes through. Remember, the core of our being is made of two things. One is light and one is sound. So that guidance comes through in light and sound. So if you really tune into the hearing of it, it's going to sound like this. Wah, 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 wah. And it could be some different colors or shades or different bright lights, like flashing that information from your intuition coming in. Now, every part of our chakra system, every chakra has a direct relationship with the one above or one below it. I'll give you an example. Like your second chakra, your creative center, has a connection to your fourth chakra, your heart chakra. There's a connection there. Your third chakra, like where your soul sits, where your intention lies, your purpose resides, has a direct connection with your fifth chakra, like the way you speak your truth. So every chakra has this opposing relationship with one above or one below it. And so our heart space, like, receives this information of our intuitive guidance, but again, it comes to in light and sound. And then that information is channeled to your your third eye, your sixth chakra. And this is how you interpret it. This is why you receive that message in whatever language you speak, you receive it in your language. right? Because your brain operates in the language that you speak. And so you hear your guidance in that language. Not everybody hears it in English. Everybody hears it in their own language of what they're really tuned into, like their own primary language they operate. That's how their guidance comes through, right? And so that message gets translated into your own understanding and channeled to the third eye so you can have some clarity, so you can also hear it, right? Or have vision around it so it can begin to tune into your senses of how you receive that message. But it always comes through the heart space. And so by having some gazing on our third eye point, like we begin to like tune in to like that information, and begin to open up that channel. Maybe you just look at it and you see like a bright white light. Maybe you don't see anything at all, but you're beginning to build a relationship. This whole thing is about building and amplifying a relationship that's going to constantly be, marinated and collaborated and evolving through your entire life. And so that's another tool that we have to work with this week. And the last one is going to be, as I mentioned, like writing or journaling. You can write your prayers or meditation sessions around what you're journaling, what you're visioning, what you're feeling, what you're calling in with your intentions, and begin to log it down. And of course, the breath work is also a piece of all that. So beautiful with everybody. Just wanted to share this. It was really felt called to share with you this week. And we can talk more about it on the calls. But I just want to share this with you. And if you have any questions, we can talk on the Thursday and Saturday call this week. Okay. So blessings to you and have a beautiful day. Oh, mahalo.